Hello, everyone. My name is Christian. Welcome back to my hobby blog. I am very excited because I finished another standalone Frank Herbert book. I think it actually is part one of a two-part series, so it's not as standalone as I think it is, but I think the sequel is not really that connected. But either way, I ended up reading a book from, I think it's 1972, and it is Frank Herbert's Ripping Star. And this is a really bizarre book. I'm not going to go into any spoilers. There's really not much to talk about with that. But the basic premise of the story is that there's this race of beings that are unseeable through many of the species throughout the galaxy. So the story takes place in the far future. We have multiple alien species at this point that humanity has run into and has sort of started communicating with and working with on trade and sort of colonization and all that. And there's this alien race called the Calibans, which reminded me of Caladan a lot, which is the planet that the Atreides hail from. But I don't know if I'm just reaching or not. But I thought that was really funny when I first read that alien species name, because this alien species, the Calibans, they don't really know how to communicate with humans. And so the main character is a scientist who is part of a government agency trying to sort of root out like all of the knowledge of the species, because they're sort of like a hive mind species. So you can't see them. They're in another dimension. It's very like just nebulous. It's really weird. It's a really weird book. But the species, they're starting to learn about them, and they discover that if you kill one of them, it's sort of like a hive mind kills off a lot of other ones. And so they sort of realize as time has gone by that they've been basically committing a genocide against this species. And so the main character, he sort of finds one of the final ones that are in the galaxy. And this one has sort of partnered with a villain that's a human. And they have their own agenda. The alien has its own agenda. This woman who's the villain, she has her own agenda. And everyone has their own agendas in the story, everyone in the cast. And it's a really fascinating story. It really reminds me of Denis Villeneuve's Arrival, which is really fascinating to me, which is all about aliens that touch down on Earth, and they have a anthropologist or linguistics professor work to communicate with this alien species. And I thought that was really funny, like that it reminded me of that, because this was written back in the 70s. And that movie didn't come out till 2013, 2014, I think, 2016 at the latest. But this whole book is very reminiscent of that movie. And I'm very curious. I haven't done any research on it, but I would love to know if Denis Villeneuve ever read the story, because this both of these stories is all about learning more about the aliens and sort of figuring out what they want and sort of what the species history is. And that's what the majority of this novel is about, is learning more about this alien species. And I wouldn't say it's the most jaw-dropping reveals you'll get in regards to like sci-fi or anything, but it's definitely a very interesting and worthy book to read, because it does have a lot of questions about identity and sort of allegiances to one's own species versus sort of other species and other ideals. And you also have sort of this idea of like, what do human words mean to others who aren't human? So they have this whole idea of like, what is pain and what is love? And they debate these things, this main character and the alien, and they sort of go back and forth, like trying to find metaphors and analogies that the alien can relate to, but the human doesn't really know anything about the alien, so they're sort of having to go back and forth. And it's just really fascinating. I really enjoyed this book. It's a really short read. It's, 200 pages, 250 maybe. Um, no, it's 188 pages, my edition. So it's a really short story, and I really enjoyed reading it. I read it in 2 days, and it's just one of those stories that I feel like I think it would make a really great like movie. Like it's just an hour and a half movie. And I think the closest thing we have actually is this movie, Arrival by Denis Villeneuve. Which is really funny to me. But I guess it also has a lot of familiarity with one of my favorite sci-fi movies, I think from the 50s. It's called Forbidden Planet, which is all about this maniacal human who is on this moon, and humans come and they talk to him and they find out there's a lot more under the surface than what he is leading on. And this is a very similar story about the villain, in regards to the villain, where the villain is sort of saying that she wants this one thing, but we realize that it's actually this totally other thing. And it's really cool. I really enjoyed this book. I hope other people read it. I didn't give any spoilers. There's really not too much spoilery about it. I think it's more just a really thought-provoking book. So if you're looking for a book like that, then this is definitely the book for you. My rating for this book is like a 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I think in terms of the concepts, I think I would bump it up to an 8.5. But I will say that the characters could definitely be a lot more, it could have been a lot more interesting and have more depth, because they all are sort of a archetype of different sci-fi characters. So you have the scientist, you have the mechanic guy, you have the soldier, you have all these different people, you have the mediator, you have all these different character types. And Frank Herbert doesn't really explore the characters all that much, which is why I don't give this book a higher rating, because that is something that he does really fucking well with the Dune series, of course, and Godmakers, and just all these different books. So I think that's about all I have to say about this book. Let me know what you think about this review and what you would like to kind of see me cover next when it comes to Frank Herbert. I think I only have one other book by him left, so I need to go pick up more, because I really find his ideas really fascinating and I love them. And even if the book isn't like a 10 out of 10, like Dune Book 1 or Dune Book 2 or 3 or 4, like I just love all those books. Like I still find it a very worthy sort of time spent for me to read through these books, because there's a lot of really fun ideas that sort of correlate with Dune. And it's just great. So thank you all so much for watching, and please have a great rest of the day.